What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome to Warriors Latest. I am your host, Max Arizin. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the show today, as I do post new Warriors videos daily. Now, we know Kuminga's basically balking at everything the Warriors are offering, and even Joe Lacob going down to Miami and trying to convince him to sign the contract or at least figure out what he wants to do has not worked. And it's gotten so, I guess, frustrating to the point where now Jimmy Butler is coming and trying to figure out what's going on in the Kuminga situation. He came recently, asked the Warriors, all right, what's the deal? Either sign him or trade him. Training camp is 2 weeks away. We have things to do, and we need to all be on the same page. So he pretty much said the quiet part out loud. The top tier players, and if Jimmy doesn't like it, it's obvious that Draymond and Steph don't like it either. It's time to really put up or shut up when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, and I think it's time to move on from him and allow him to become the player that he's going to be. But again, now that Jimmy has come out and said this, you got to actually wonder about Steph's old comments regarding the Kuminga situation as well. I mean, I remember, I believe it was a month ago, Steph subtly took a jab at Kuminga when he said, it's like, you know what, just don't worry about it. Play your game, and the rest will figure itself out. But we got stuff to do. We're looking to win an NBA championship. And when you have, or let me put it this way, in any championship team, you all have to be on the same page from day one. And if Kuminga's not on the same page as the rest of the team, that just creates a problem, and it's not going to help the Warriors win a title anytime soon. And right now, it's best to trade him while you still can, give him the contract that he wants, and then at least get something in return. It doesn't have to be everything. You need guys that could fill out the roster, because as of right now, they have, I believe I want to say 9 open roster spots, and that includes the 3 two-way deals. So they have a lot to work with, and just getting guys back that fit the bench, that fit the mold for what a potential starter may be, is exactly what the Warriors need. Because they don't have time to dilly-dally and sort of pick and choose who they want remaining in free agency. That being said, I don't think it's the worst decision that the Warriors can take advantage of certain other team situations in terms of getting a great player off free agency market or off the trade market when the roster crunch starts to come down. And that's going to happen to a lot of teams in the coming weeks, and the Warriors can take advantage. Now, with that said, the one thing I don't want the Warriors to do is to trade him to a team within the conference or within the division. And that includes, well, prior I wasn't as big of a mind of it, but now that he's just playing hardball and just not being that great of a teammate, player, or person, it's time to sort of push back on that. And I want to see the Warriors trade Kuminga to an Eastern Conference team. You want to go to the Kings? You want to go to the Suns? That's great. Too bad. You're going to a dumpster fire of an Eastern Conference team or a good situation with an Eastern Conference team where you can not so much develop but be part of a winner that you don't want to be with the Warriors. And now a couple of teams I thought of were outside of the ones that have already offered, like the Bulls and the Heat. Obviously, I still think the Hawks should make a good offer, or at least the Warriors should offer him to the Hawks to see what they can get, since they're looking to be a playoff contender. But the two biggest ones are the Wizards and the Hornets. Now, those are both dumpster fire franchises. The Wizards have nothing going for them. It's just really bad. But if they could find a way to move him in exchange for the likes of Cam Whitmore and just additional players, no draft picks included, but Cam Whitmore, I think that's a win overall. Because Cam, I like him. He's young. He's a Nova guy, and he has the potential to be great more so than Kuminga does, at least in my opinion. So I like that right there. With the Hornets, you could just trade him for Miles Bridges and throw in some filler, because Bridges, he's a good player, doesn't have that great of a three-point shot, but he could still work at it. And he has a contract that expires by the time that the Warriors really want to reset in 2027, as we've heard they want to go after Giannis and Joker. So there are going to be a lot of teams that are playing for 2027, and the Warriors want to maintain that cap flexibility, and Miles Bridges fits in there perfectly. There are also going to be other players that they can include, which will help fill out the bench. Now, one team I really thought about that could possibly work for a sign and trade, but you don't really think of them as a possible contender for a sign and trade, is the 76ers. Now, the Sixers, they've got a pretty good roster. They got Tyrese Maxey at the 1. They've got Paul George. They've got Joel Embiid. Now, the latter two do have injury histories, so it's not good. The best idea to add a guy like Kuminga, but as Daryl Morey has said on multiple occasions, he wants win-now players, and win-now players mean no rookies. So it is, I believe, it's possible to potentially get VJ Edgecombe and pull him away from the likes of the Sixers and insert him with the Warriors. Granted, I still think this is a long shot, but it's still a possibility, and I do like that idea. So let's see if the Warriors can really pull this off and at least get something good for Jonathan Kuminga. But they have to move him to the Eastern Conference. No trading him within the Western Conference, because if you trade him to the Kings, he could potentially be a problem unless you're trading him for DeMar DeRozan, which I could see the Warriors actually getting something good back. But the Suns, as much as I like Nick Richards and Royce O'Neal, it doesn't look like that's going to be the best fit, because Royce O'Neal can't cut the way the Warriors need him to. And that's just not going to work for them over the coming years, and his contract goes past 2027. So let's trade him to the East and be done with it. Now, for the rest of the roster, as I mentioned before, as things progress, once Jonathan Kuminga's deal is taken care of, the Warriors are going to have an easy time filling out the roster. Not only with those free agents, the signings of Seth Curry and Al Horford, but finding ways to trade for good players when that roster crunch starts to come down. Like I've mentioned, they could go out, get Kelly Oubre. They could find a way to get Kevin Huerter for some of those guys like Moses Moody and Buddy Hield, another guy who can shoot the three. They can find guys from, like, say, Miami, Charlotte, especially the Knicks. The guys who are, like, they have a lot of guys that are NBA-ready players, but they're not going to make that final roster. Like I said, Malcolm Brogdon's on an Exhibit 9 deal. The same goes for Alex Len. Two Warriors targets that I think they should really go after once the roster crunch comes down, because I don't see them potentially making the regular season roster if the Knicks stick with certain players. Like right now, they have to choose between Len, Landry Shamet, and Malcolm Brogdon for that final spot because they don't have the money. They could also take advantage of their trade exceptions that they have and put those together to acquire some small-time players for the long term, or even use it to completely acquire an expiring player like Kelly Oubre. So that does work, and I do see them taking advantage of that. So let's just see how things play out once they get the Kuminga deal, and they will take advantage of finding ways to add to that roster as a whole and make it a championship contender. Now, bottom line is it's time for the Dubs to get in gear. Now that Jimmy has come to them and said, all right, what are we doing here? We have a championship team to run. I thought the drama was over when I left Miami. Here you're playing hardball. You've taken care of me, but you haven't taken care of Kuminga. So just either trade him or keep him, one or the other, but it can't be both. And I think that's just a major signal, because if it's coming from Jimmy, it's definitely coming from Steph and Draymond too. I know Jimmy and Draymond have been working out together, so that does say a lot. I guarantee you that they're in the same like of mind. And we heard from Steph telling Kuminga subtly, put up or shut up, sign the deal, or just leave. Enough is enough. We're trying to win championships here, not be on MTV for the most dramatic team in the NBA. So I understand where the core players are coming from. But it's good to hear that the core players are of the same mindset. And right now, it looks like Kuminga is going to be addition by subtraction. Just getting rid of him is going to put the Warriors back in gear. It's going to put them in that sense where they were after they acquired Jimmy, where they went 23-8 to close out the season. And that team was a true title contender. So the addition from subtraction idea is a great idea overall. They won't have any trouble filling out the rest of the roster, considering the remaining free agents left in or out there, as well as taking advantage of some of the roster crunches that other good teams are going to face. So just settle the Kuminga deal, get him out, get some at least something in return that you can put onto the bench and can be useful, maybe even some second round picks, and then fill out the rest of the roster so we Warriors fans can stop thinking about it and get ready to watch an amazing season. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed the show today. And if you have any other potential trade ideas for Eastern Conference teams to trade for Kuminga, feel free to comment below, as I love hearing your ideas. And as always, go Dubs.